Where you've been has nothing to do with where you are now. You make new choices in this moment, in this day, your whole life can change.
Join us right now live on HSN. It's Tony Robbins. And here he is, Tony Robbins. Hey,
Nice
buddy.
to see you.
Good to see you again. We're going to have a great final hour.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for being here. And thanks to your wife and the whole team for opening up your home and letting us invade a little bit. But, you know, this hour we've all been anticipating. And my friends on Facebook are so excited about it. And we've got some special people literally texting me who said, I want to talk to Tony. I'm like, call in. You can do it. But, you know, Tony, I want to take it back because, you know, we sit here in your beautiful home and your surroundings and people say, well, that's easy. Look, oh, his life's so great. I literally want to take you back to the moment you left your house when you were 17. And I know it's an intimate question, but what happened? Why in the world did you leave home?
Well, I had a very passionate mom. I love her dearly. She's since passed. And I never talked about her in advance when she was still alive in this era, but she was addicted to alcohol and also addicted to prescription drugs, and she would get very violent. And I'm the oldest of three. My brother and sister are 5 and 7 years younger than I am. And so I had to try to protect them. So I would get liquid soap poured down my throat till I threw up. I would have my head bashed against the wall. And I don't say that to be gross or grotesque, but I never even shared this until about 4 or 5 years ago. I was with Oprah with a group of kids who were physically abused, and I was telling them, you can make it, you can do this. And I realized I was looking at this big white guy who's, you know, now quite successful in business and finance, and they couldn't relate. And so I told them the whole story. It's the first time I'd ever revealed it. And I don't spend time on it normally. You ask me about it, I'm happy to tell you. But what it really did is it made me understand suffering, because I suffered so much. I don't want anybody to suffer. I mean,
And your family was not wealthy.
Well, no, we were very poor. We had no money for food. It's one of the reasons why, you know, tonight, so you know, this program is the best program I have. You guys have put it on Easy Pay for, you know, $39. So, you know, for less than a cup of coffee a day, you can get a $1,000 program and take it for a month and send it back if you don't want it. But I'm also donating 100% of the profits, as I did last time we're here. Every penny is going to Feeding America, because I feed 100 million people a year the last 2 years in a row. I'm going to feed 1 billion people over the next 8 years. It's one of my pure passions, because my family was fed when I was 11. So I've had 2 families, and then 4, then 8, 100,000, 1 million. And the other thing we're doing, the other half of this is going to the Underground Railroad, because this month is Anti-Slavery Month. That's a passion for me. Children, boys and girls, being locked up in slavery and forced to do sexual acts is insane. And this group is former CIA, FBI, and special forces. They come in and trap these guys. They free 8, 9, and 10-year-old girls, to give you an idea, and boys. And so all the money tonight is going to that. So last time I was here, it was $500,000 that we donated. We freed 200 children. We fed 2.5 million people, because I put matching funds in. And we're going to do the same thing as of tonight, because it looks like we're going to hit our numbers again, which is pretty beautiful.
100% of the net profit, he's not making any money in this, goes to those 2 organizations. How thrilling is that? Because you think tonight you're helping yourself, but not only are you doing that and you're going to help yourself in a big way, is you're helping so many others. I'm going to ask you one last question, just because I think people do watch and they say, oh, he doesn't understand. The moment you left your house, I mean, can you share that very moment when you never went back?
You know, my mom chased me out with a knife. I knew she wouldn't kill me or hurt me, and I'd gone from, I was 5'1" in high school, and I grew 10 inches in a year, so I became, at that point, I think it was like 6'3", 6'4". And I just said, I'm not going back. But what came out is I slept on the mountaintop, and then it rained. I slept in a person's laundry room. And then what I did was I started going and reading initially. I took the little bit of money I had. I worked as a janitor, still in high school. I work in the middle of the night and take buses. And I would find the power of reading, because I would think I had this horrible life, and then I'd read these biographies of some of the smartest and most brilliant leaders in the world, or an Oprah or anyone of that nature, and you see their life was horrible. That's why they became who they became. And so it kind of changed for me. I began to realize, and then I started listening to audios. And you mentioned earlier, I used to go to this place in Los Angeles. Yes, you got a man named Mario, this Jewish man who owned this little corner spot where he sold cassette tapes of all the different speakers in the world. And I would save my money as a janitor, making, you know, $150, and I'd pour 60% of that into buying these. And I just fed my mind. So I'm a product of all this. Well, and it's been 40, this will be my 40th year next month doing this with people from all over the world. And I've had the chance to work in 100 countries with 100 million people. And
here's what I love. I'm just going to quote Mario, because this is one of the most moving stories. I thought the one thing he said, and again, we'll move on from this. I just want to bring home that if you watch him and you see him and you're like, oh, wow, you know, It's a whole deep, long, brilliant story. But the Mario said, I love this. He said, and he's kind of an old man when you recorded him. He was
he's in his 80s.
81 when I heard the recording. And he said he didn't have money for tapes, and actually you bounced a check. The whole point of me sharing these.
Well, but he also said I brought the tapes back, and that's what he's impressed by.
Yes.
And I said, I will come pay for these when I can. I didn't mean to bounce it. And he goes, you can take them. I said, no. And I came back and I got him, and he always remembered that.
Yeah.
He said I was this fat little kid, he tells people, who just wouldn't give up.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's really nice to hear his story of seeing what I was like back as a, you know, as a young man.
Yeah, and the reason I even bring this up is because I really want everyone to understand, because sometimes we don't get to hear those intimate stories, how really you do understand. You really get it.
I was so depressed. I brought myself to the edge multiple times. I felt like there was no way to fight my way out. I had no role models. So when people are feeling suffering, I am called to solve that, because I'm not thinking of it intellectually. You know, in 2008, when all these people are losing their homes, or losing half their net worth, I mean, it made me crazy. That's why I wrote Money Master the Game. I said, I'm going to go interview 50 of the smartest people in the world and bring those answers. So this entire Ultimate Edge program is the best answers, because I believe success leaves clues. If someone is successful financially, they're not lucky. They're doing something different than you. And if you sow the same seeds, if you take the same actions, you'll get the same rewards. There's a man in here that I talk about in the program who he never made more than $14,000 a year in his annual income. He worked as a driver for UPS. His name's Theodore Johnson. And when he retired, he took what I applied here, and he was worth $70 million, never making more than $14 grand a year. And he gave away $35 million while he was alive. So, I mean, there are tools that can change your life. If someone has lost weight and kept it off for 10 years, 20 years, they're not lucky. They're doing something different than you. If someone has got this passionate relationship, they're not lucky. So I've spent literally 40 years of my life finding the very best, putting in a format that's playful and fun and easy, and then it's just one little audio a day. You know, look at all this. Just say I'm gonna do one audio a day over basically 21 days, and you're doing it while you're driving in your car, you do it while you're working out, or you do it while you're cleaning your house, and use net time, no extra time, to change your whole life. So tonight, you'll hear, I'm sure, a lot of people calling in, sharing great stories, but make it your story. Don't wait. If this is a new year and you want a new life, a new you, call me right now and let me start to be your coach, and you can do it for $39. And most people would give $39 to help a child out of slavery or feed somebody. That's where all the money's going, but you're getting the benefit.
And here's kind of what we're doing tonight. I do want to mention FlexPay, because you brought it up. We make it super easy. This is kind of our part, the HSN part of it. What you do is we accept any major credit card or PayPal, and you get to spread it out over, in this case, 5 months, and then you pay it off. Here's what I like the best. It's free shipping, so really today you're only spending $39.80, okay? And you're spending it on you and helping others, which I think is the coolest thing ever. But what's neat about this is you have 30 days. All I say is open the box, open the box, put one disc in. Even after the very first disc, if you're not going, wow, I need to hear more, I want to hear more, wow, I got to dive into this, I want to hear what he has to say, I want to learn more, then if that doesn't happen, you send it back and we will give you a full refund. So there's absolutely nothing to lose, and there's everything literally in your life 360 to gain.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
It just makes that commitment to say, you know what, I'm worth it. I'm going to do that. And at the same time, you're absolutely helping others. Tony is not making one single penny on anything that he sells at HSN through this series. So I think it's so neat and such a great opportunity for all of us. I want to go into Becky first right away.
Wonderful.
We're going to grab Becky, and she's joining us from New York. Hi, Becky. You're on with Tony. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, it's great to be with you, Tony and Suzanne.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Becky.
Yeah, so
Tell us, do you have my program, and what was your life like before? What did you change? Where are you today? What shifted for you? I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, I absolutely do have your program, and I've attended a couple of your seminars, and it's, you know, literally changed my life. So just a few things. I'm listening to you guys talk about the tape set and everything that's in there, and I just want to say that there's so many great things, because this tape set has so many things that helped me. For instance, there's tapes on relationships, there's there's DVDs, there's CDs in it, and there's stuff on money, on relationship, on how to handle all this personal stuff that we go through. And you know, I'm a professional, and you know, my life really before I started doing all this stuff was, you know, you would think was fine. And I really didn't want to look at some of the things that were going on, and everything I just kind of, drudged along like everything was great. And then I realized that there was a lot of things that I really needed to change because, I've been married for 20 years almost, and the spark just didn't seem to be there like it once was. And in these tapes, when, you do a lot of stuff talking about relationships, and I realized that there was a lot of things that I wanted, him to give me, that I really started to give him. So I said, you know what, everything that I want, I'm going to do exactly what Tony talks about in these tapes, and I'm going to start giving it to him. And what happened was it just ignited our relationship and really made it passionate and romantic, and it brought everything back to what we once had. And, by doing that was just, one little area. And things changed with the children, things changed with my business, and, one of the things I realized was that, you kind of go along in life and you don't realize that you have fear. I realized that, I had fear with certain things, and I needed to replace it, like you talked about in the tapes, with gratitude. So I said, I'm just going to start being grateful for everything. When the problems come along, I'm going to be like, well, thank you very much. This is happening for me, not to me. And things really started, they really started changing. And, that's just a few of many, many, many things that changed and transformed, in my life from using a lot of this stuff.
That's so beautiful, Becky. I mean, you're applying everything I teach, and you're reaping the rewards that you deserve. I'm glad you started with a relationship, because I personally believe if you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not happy. If you don't have one, it's missing. No matter how great your business is or how great a professional you are, even having incredible children, if your intimate relationship's not there. And in the beginning of a relationship, what are we focused on? We're not focused on getting. We're focused on giving. When I ask people, when you're totally in love with somebody, what will you do for them? And people say, anything, of course. But then after 7 months or 7 years or 70 years, somewhere in that range, in the beginning, if someone said, would you take out the trash? Like, take out the trash, of course. I'd be happy to. What else would you like?
Yes, darling.
But after, a certain period of time, it's like, what do you mean take out the trash? What do you think I am, your janitor? And go, where did our passion go? Because in the beginning, it was all about giving. In the end, it's about, what am I not getting? And what I found, and the reason went 20 years where it felt stale and then reignited it, is because I always tell people, if you do what you did in the beginning of the relationship, in the end of the relationship, there won't be an end. And so you've really done that. But then the next thing is what you just said. Then it starts to affect your children, because they can feel when the mom and dad love each other, are passionate for each other, around each other. It changes the entire family. Did you feel that with your family?
Oh, yeah. And, it's so funny because, we would, before we started doing a lot of your work, basically, is what I call it. We would have like little fights or not say anything or just hold it in. But, the kids can feel that energy. So, you act like no one knows what's going on, but everybody does in the household. And then when we started applying all this stuff and bringing a lot of variety, you talk about your 6 human needs, and it's interesting because last month in December, I said, basically as a Christmas present to my husband, I'm going to try to meet his 6 human needs, all of his 6 human needs every day.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we've had so much fun with it. I'm like, okay, honey, I'm going to meet your 6 human needs. I'm going to give you certainty. I'm going to give you variety. I'm going to give you significance. I'm going to give you love and connection. I'm going to give you growth, and I'm going to give you contribution. And it's so funny because I was like, how am I going to do this? And then I started realizing, well, I'd only have to do 1 or 2 things, and everything was in that. And so it was so fun. We were having so much fun with each other. And the kids, it's funny because they'd say to us, oh, Mom, Dad, get a room. And now I say to them, you're in this house, this is our
Becky,
room.
I hate that my producer's running us on. Becky,
stay on the line and give us your number, and I'm going to invite you to come to a live event with your husband. I'd love to meet you personally, and I want to thank you for what you've done.
Becky, thank you, and stay on the line for us too. All right, we're going to head actually right back to the phone. So in between our shows tonight, I get this text, and it's actually from Curtis Stone. And Curtis Stone, of course, one of the world's greatest restaurateurs, chef, author. Everybody knows him on Food Network. And he texts me, and he says, "Oh my gosh, I saw you on Tony with Tony. I've been listening to his CDs for years." And I said, "Would you call in?" And he goes, "Well, yes, I would." So Tony, here's our favorite Aussie chef.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Curtis Stone. Hi, Curtis.
How you doing, guys?
Great, Curtis. Nice to meet you.
It's so good to see you up there. Listen, Tony, this is a blast from the past, mate. I started listening to your tapes back when you were still, back in the Live with Passion days. So, that's probably, I don't even know how many years. Is it 15 years plus,
Yeah, probably 15 or 20.
Right. But I mean, look, it did so much for me because I was right at a place when I was sort of thinking I just started my own business, and the truth of it was I was sort of, I guess, in some ways thinking about what I could get, and as opposed to what I could give.
Yes.
And when I listened to your stuff, and your previous caller mentioned gratitude, that's something that you speak about a lot. As you do happiness, and as you start to search for what it is that makes you happy, and you have so many incredible exercises, and I haven't got these latest collection that you're putting out now, but I know you'll have this stuff in there as well. But you talk about happiness, and it just makes you stop and think and say, all right, well, what is it that actually will make me happy? What is, is it the relationships in my life? Is it, because it's not the boat, it's not the house, it's none of that stuff. And for me, it was really, really inspirational. I remember listening to it and then putting it into action, and I think that's what was the key to it. You don't just, you tell people what they already know to a certain extent, but you give them the tools to actually put it into action and make a difference. So I wanted to just call in and say thank you, mate.
Oh, you're so sweet. I really appreciate it, Curtis. You're amazing. I'm curious, at this stage of your life, what makes you most happy? With all this impact that you're having, around the world, what makes you most happy at this stage of your life?
You know what? It's my kids, my beautiful wife and my two boys. And I guess I opened a couple of restaurants in the last few years, and I didn't, I'd worked in restaurants and worked my butt off, and I went back and started listening to some of your stuff again, and I thought, what do I want to teach my boys? It's not about the money. It's not about all this sort of stuff that's going on in my life. And the truth was I wanted them to show them how the world works. And, to me, I got to where I was from working hard, and I wanted to get back to working hard again. So that's sort of why I went back into the restaurant business. And, I'm very lucky. I get to create kitchen products and hopefully get people back into the kitchen. And I think so many good things happen around a dinner table, and being able to sort of inspire them through the kitchen and touch people from the other side of the world. I'm really blessed. It's pretty special.
Well, your passion comes through to everybody, and I know so many people love you, and I'm one of those people just because you give so much. I think that's why you're so successful, and I'm thrilled to hear that your boys, you're able to help shape that for their boys, and that them and your wife are the love of your life, because without that, what do you have, right? But with that, you got everything. Everything else is a booby prize, so to speak. So thank you for your very kind words. And what would you say to somebody on the edge there that's, here we are, it's 11 o'clock at night, and some people either just thinking this is just my audios. What could you tell them to push them over the edge so they give themselves this gift, and we can save some children today as well?
Look, the thing is, you've got absolutely nothing to lose. You listen to the tapes. If you don't like them, throw them away, send them back. But the truth is, once you start listening to them, you'll think, all right, well, that's clever. Okay, let me do that exercise. And you'll sit down and you'll think about it a little bit more, and away you go. Your life will just start escalating and changing in ways that you've never even thought possible. So I wouldn't hesitate if I was sitting out there thinking about it.
Thank you, brother. Good on you.
Curtis, thank you. It was so nice
bless.
chatting with you, and thank you for texting me. We're so thrilled you could join us tonight.
My pleasure, guys. Lovely chatting to you. Good luck tonight. Speak to you later.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
And just FYI, it was absolutely not rehearsed. It was not planned, but the good news is Curtis is coming up at the 11 o'clock hour tonight. So
he
right
is at
after
11
us,
o'clock.
he's on at 11. So
Somebody flashed me something at 11. I thought, is it almost 11?
he's like, what's 11? That was my message. But anyway, so see Curtis, he's coming up, and he's got his great cookware, which I love too. But you know what? Does that ever surprise you that you'll hear about somebody or something, and you go, oh, that's interesting, and just reaffirms that you are really creating change in many people's lives?
I love hearing all the stories, whether somebody famous or not. But it's really fun when you find somebody like, I don't know Curtis personally, but I've seen them and respected them, and you find out they've been listening to your stuff for 20 years or 10 years or whatever the case may be. It's very, very gratifying. I mean, listen, I'm such a blessed man. I've been doing this 40 years. And I've done it in 100 countries. And at this point, I could be an idiot, and I have to see there are patterns that will make you crazy and angry and frustrated and overwhelmed, patterns that will make you grateful and excited and passionate and successful. And so it's at this stage, when you've seen that much in that many countries, I know what to do. And so now I'm able to give that without even having to be there. So this is like taking you on one of my weekend seminars for 50 hours, but doing it instead in your home in your own convenience. And then if you want to come to something, you're always welcome to do so. And then getting you a coach, someone who's going to work with you one-on-one to figure out what do you really want at this stage, right now in your life, not years ago. What do you want now? And what's preventing you from making it happen? And then help you get a strategy and then follow up to make sure you're really doing it. And then this work here gives you the tools so you can execute. Because, everybody has dreams, but how many people live their dreams? And the few that do have a plan and they don't overwhelm themselves. They don't try to do it all at once, because whether it's dieting or exercise or making money or doing something with your kids, try to do it all at once, it's overwhelming. But if you do little bite-sized chunks, pretty soon you get momentum. Pretty soon what was hard is really easy. Pretty soon you're immersed in it. And then that's people's entire lives change. The people that call in don't just say, I made more money, or whatever they say. It changed my family life. It changed the way I felt about myself. I changed my body. Because once you get momentum, you want to change everything. You want to take everything next level. Whereas most people are just kind of settling. And it's not because they aren't capable. It's just because they're burnt out. And so a big part of this program, so is building your energy. Because without energy, you're not going to have passion in your relationship, no matter how much you love each other, because you're exhausted from the kids, from work, from everything. Without enough energy, you're not going to start a business. You're not going to transform your body. You're not going to begin any of it. You're already tired. This will show you how to transform your body, and it gives you the cutting edge tools where these little things you can do that give you a burst of energy. I interviewed a man. I wanted to increase my energy massively when I was 23 years old. And I was exhausted all the time, and I'd go lift weights and thought I was looking good, and then I'd hurt my back, and I'd be tired all the time. And I was like, I want to be the energy guy. And so I found this man named Stu Middleman who ran 1,000 miles in 11 days, and he wasn't a runner. He was a social psychologist, and he had a degree in physiology, and he heard about these people, these Indians, still do it in the Central America, that run 75 miles once a year on this one day as a celebration. And young kids do it, old people, anybody that's healthy runs 75 miles. He said, this is impossible. I want to study this crazy culture. He went down and figured out they train their bodies to burn fat. So when you burn sugar, you burn and then you get tired right away. When you burn fat, it's like burning coals. It goes on and on. So he ran 1,000 miles in 11 days. He taught me the tools. I now teach him everybody else, and I've had this energy that I'm known for ever since. So it's not something I was born with. It's something I went and got. If you want that kind of energy, you want to change your life, call me right now. Let's get started. $39, less than a cup of coffee a day, especially at Starbucks. Yeah. And you can have a truly changed life. Call me right now.
And I'll tell you what's even going to thrill you more. It's kind of buy one, get one. And there's a very special reason why. You're going to get all of this. This is great. You'll have it. And if you want to listen to CDs, you can. But one of the latest developments that you guys have created, which I think is so brilliant, is now Tony can go with you anywhere, even without having to be online. You can now download the entire set. So when you get this tonight, download everything.
Yeah, you have it on your app.
You got it on the app.
Here it is with you. Anywhere you go, when you need it, you immediately can get what you need to overcome the procrastination, or make the decision, or make the shift with your kid, or make the shift in your relationship, or do something physical, or be inspired. And it's with you all the time. So you could take this and give this other gift to someone else and just keep the download if you wanted to. And most people do both.
And again, when you think about it too, not only are you giving the gift to yourself, which is totally life-changing, but you're helping others 100%. And I love talking about this, of the net profits that Tony and his team would make on this goes to his two most important charities, which is, of course, Feeding America and Operation Underground Railroad, which is children who are enslaved in the sex business.
There are more people enslaved today than any time in history. It's hard to imagine that with a modern world, but because the volume of people is so much bigger and the percentage under slavery is the highest in history, and so many of them are children. And so this is a chance where, like most of you, if you saw a commercial and somebody said, donate $39 to get a child into slavery, I bet you'd jump on it, especially if it was your child. But here, all that money is going there, but you're getting all this benefit as well. So we try to make this irresistible. It's why I brought you here for 2 days. I want to help these two charities. I've fed 100 million people last year in Feeding America, 100 million people the year before. We're going to feed 1 billion over the next 8 years. And I'd love you to be my partner while you change your life. So
in your visit in October, everything completely sold out early. You donated $500,000 just on what you all did here at HSN. So if we were just going on talking for an hour about your charities, that would be great. But you ultimately are getting the ultimate benefit as well. So it's just such a win-win tonight. We're going to say hi to Season, who's joining us from Texas. Hi, Season. You're on with Tony.
Beautiful name, Season. Which season are you?
Hi, how are you? Yes, I'm in Texas right now, but I'm actually a New Orleans native. So I have a story that transpires when in 1998, when I was a senior at Loyola University, I found your Awaken the Giant cassette at a used bookstore, and I think it paid like $2. And I listened to it all that summer, and it just inspired me. And I was graduating that August, and I did this contest. It was when the Volkswagen Bugs first came out. It said, "Live in this car to win it." And I said, I needed a car. I was graduating college, and I went around telling people, that's my car. I'm going to win that car. I had that positive mindset. I was like, that is my car. I had
Programming your mind, yeah.
So I entered. You had to write in 30 words or less why you would live in this car. And so I entered. Out of like 5,000 people, I got in the top 30. I walked into the radio station. I'd gone to college with one of the guys, but I don't think that was what it was. But we did promo. I get into the top 4. I spent 10 days in a car in a mall, and I won that car. And I've given credit to you.
Oh my God.
That's like when people say, "What is the craziest thing you've ever done?" I'm like, this is before reality TV. I lived in a car for 10 days in a mall, and I'm like, Tony Robbins gave me the motivation to do it. And
That's great.
Well, I could have given you that motivation by my own life.
And I bought the program yesterday, and I was trying to go last year to Dallas. I would love to see you live. I'm just like, oh my God, I've never watched Home Shopping Channel, and something told me to turn the TV on yesterday.
Wow. Well, I could have inspired you to live in that Volkswagen because I lived in a 1968 Volkswagen. That's how I started homeless myself. So, but I wasn't getting the car for free for doing it. I wish I had that deal.
Well, I wanted a $21,000 car thanks to you, because you said you were going to live in a castle. I said I was going to live in a car.
That's awesome.
That's a beautiful story.
That's gonna be a first.
Well, I'm so glad that you got it. Listen, stick around. Put your name we'll give us your phone number here, and I'm going to invite you to come to the seminar because you'll be blown away. And I have one coming up.
God,
I don't know if I have one in Dallas because I just did one in Dallas.
I wanted to go to Dallas. I was like, I want to see you live. So.
Well, I'll invite you to either LA, I think LA or New York, if you can make the trip there. We'll have about 10,000 people at each one of those events. You pick which one you want to go to, and if you want to bring a member of your family, you're welcome to too.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And
Season, what I'm going to do is stay on the air or stay on the line, and we'll get your information. Do not give us your phone number on the air. That would not be good.
No, that would not be good. God bless. Take care. What a great story.
Here's what I want to do. I actually want to go through exactly what you're going to get because this is so vital. In fact, this is the best series and program you've ever put together.
Yeah, actually, the Ultimate Edge is made up of 3 programs. And Personal Power is the first one. Ultimate Edge is the next one. We merged them together. But it's the most successful program of all time. We've had 50 million people get this program to change their life. So this is not like something that you don't know if it's going to work or not. This is something that's proven beyond compare. But what we did here is we combined 3 programs together to give you the best offer we've ever had, added the coaching to it so you get an individual coach, added this amazing disc profile, which takes you 15 minutes online and gives you this 30-page report, which is different for every single person. I did it myself years ago, and I thought, oh, they know who I am. They know enough history. It's, they formulated this to be that accurate. And then I had other people do it, and they were blown away. So corporations over the years have used this. They pay $200 a person so they can decide whether they're going to hire you or not. Don't know your strengths, your weaknesses, but it also shows you what to do to transform. So this is $250 value, $200 value by itself. Yeah. But then we've added in $200 of coaching, and we've added in all of the programs together for you all in one package, which might start to feel a bit overwhelming, but it's really about 21 sessions where you listen to 1 audio a day or a video, and you can do it again in net time, no extra time while you're driving, while you're cleaning the house. You don't have to give anything up, and if you listen to people who've gone through it, they'll tell you it's a blast. It's not like I got this other job, this other work I got to do. And every day you're making progress, and progress is addictive. When you start feeling like better physically and emotionally and better in your relationship or start to make money, the game changes for you. So this is a momentum program. If it's the new year, everybody thinks new year, I want a new life, and they maybe come up with a few resolutions and then it falls apart because they don't know what to do. I show you the best, simplest plans I'll be there with you. I'll guide you through it. I'll help you to keep yourself on target, and you will get results. But you got to do the first step, which is call us right now, because we got less than 30 minutes left, and this is my last visit. I'm not coming back to the fall. So this is the chance to help you and help others. Let's do it.
And the second step is simple. Open the box. The third step is listen to it. And it is funny. Once you do that very first one, and we could probably have asked every caller over the last 2 days, that first one gets you, and you're like, oh my gosh. You actually go, I want to listen more. I wish I had more time. But you do find the time to do it. And it's in, like you said, it's when I've been listening to it, driving in my car. I did the old series 15 years ago. And I'm in the car, and I can't wait to get back in my car to drive, because I want to move to that next step. Down below, you're going to see some of the reviews, and this is just scratching the surface of what people have to say about the program. And it's interesting because it's fun, and you can take it in baby steps. And here's something I think so important to bring out. Some people's lives are overwhelming, almost like they just have 1,000,000 pounds on them, and they almost can't breathe. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what
and
you
then
mean.
they go, and you want me to do this? Seriously, let's talk about that for a second.
Sure. Well, I think if you're that level of stress and you don't do something to change it, there's going to be something physical go wrong. You know it and I know it, right? And if it isn't something physical, it's going to certainly affect your relationships. It's going to affect your kids. So what I tell people is, when you feel overwhelmed, when you think like there's no room, when you think you're at the darkest before the dawn, so to speak, I always tell people victory is near. When you're like 30 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds away, it seems like nothing works. But nothing works that's not proven. And what's different about this program is everything here is not my ideas. Everything here is me saying, who got the result I wanted for my life? Like, I wanted to lose 38 pounds. Who lost 40 pounds or more and has kept it off for a decade or more? What did all those people do? Find out what they had in common. And what I began to find is it wasn't just dietary, it wasn't just exercise. It was a shift in here and in here. Because most of us overeat or don't exercise because we're exhausted, because we're tired, because we're frustrated, because we're bored, because we're lonely. If you don't change that, you can go on diets all you want, it's going to come back. But if we change what's going on inside here and here, the game changes. And so this program is designed to do it that little baby step at a time, so you're never overwhelmed, but you're entertained. I shared with you in the last hour, we have a woman, a school teacher, who's called me multiple times in the air when I've done shows like this. And first time I ever met her, she's from East LA High School. East LA was the first school in the United States to have metal detectors. Kids were getting stabbed and shot. She's the only female school teacher to make it more than a year there, and she's been there, I think, like 9 years. And she shared with me, she goes, I got this program, it kept me at the school, it made me resourceful, but also, she said, I play it every day for the kids. In the beginning, like, what is this? They're high school kids. And she goes, then they got addicted. If I don't play them, they want them because they're hooked by the stories and the learnings. And so she called me and she said, but I got to tell you, I'm ordering another set today because somebody stole them. And I said, you are not ordering them. I've delivered 100,000 of these to Health and Human Services nonprofit groups. You're doing it for others. I'll send them to you. And she called me 6 months later on the air and said, remember me, I'm the school. I said, yeah. She goes, the boy who stole them and to make fun of them, turned them on to make fun of them to a friend and got hooked and listened to the whole program, came back and apologized and returned the set.
Did
she goes,
he really?
So she goes, you know your whole money back guarantee? She goes, no one can steal this stuff. It transforms them. So that'll be your experience
awesome
too
story.
if you make a call right now.
And we've made it so easy too with FlexPay. It is, aren't you worth the $39.80? Of course you are, Did you spend that on 2 lunches this week? And you said, oh, I ate that stuff and I kind of feel bad. Just take that same amount of money that you spent there and spend it on you. And don't feel guilty about it. Do it, embrace it, have fun. Everything's a win tonight because all the net proceeds and profits go to 2 amazing organizations helping children and feeding the hungry. I mean, come on, wouldn't you want your money to do that anyway? And yet you're going to have a transformational process to be able to follow easily and in a fun manner that really makes you think and really can instantly and automatically change your life. And I want to get into that in just a minute because I think that is, people go, oh yeah, it'll happen now. Because you click your fingers and go, now. And people go, yeah, no. I've been doing this for a long time. It ain't changing now.
But if you think about it, if you're watching and listening right now, think of a change that you said took you 5 years to make, 10 years to make. People tell me all the time, it took me 10 years to finally do this. And I always say to people, every time I talk to people, it's just not true. It didn't take you 10 years. It took you a moment. It was the moment you finally decided, the moment you said no more, or I quit, or I love you, or I do. I mean, we change our lives when we make a real decision and we act on it. But most of us have weak decision-making muscles. If you don't make a lot of decisions, if you let your stress overcome you, or your fear, or you're worried it's not going to work, and you don't want to be disappointed, you don't get in the habit of making these decisions. And what I train myself to do and train others to do is to say yes. I mean, even when you go to a store these days, or you go in for a clothing store and someone says, can I help you? And you say, no, I'm just looking. You're so trained to say no. What happens if you start saying yes to things is your whole life changes. You start taking on opportunities, you start meeting people, you start shifting things. And this program is really that yes. And it shows you how to change right now in a moment. It'll show you the exact strategy to increase your energy. Here's the best strategies that we found that'll shift a relationship. Here's what's going to shift you emotionally. And it's one audio a day, so that literally over the course of a month, you're going to have a totally different life, a totally different you.
Amazing. All right, so obviously Tony has worked with royals, celebrities, heads of state, some of the biggest names. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Even Curtis Stone, you had no idea, one of the greatest chefs in the world. And I want you to hear what some of your clients, basically, that you've coached have to say. So let's watch this.
Cool.
Coming actually here to have that many people focused on one intent, super powerful. It's rocket fuel.
This whole idea that Tony had of modeling. Look at people who do things that inspire you and then apply it to your own life.
I was introduced to Tony Robbins when I was 15 years old. I remember feeling after that just unstoppable.
I think Tony Robbins allows those people who want to continue to climb mountains to climb them.
You tell the best story. Are we okay? Okay, you tell the best story about Coach Pat. And
yes.
My gosh, it was one. And you know, he's successful.
Yes.
Pat Riley is mega successful, and you got to get it. You got to hear it just to hear that story and Mario's story, which is really cool. But Pat's story was they were getting ready to go to the championship game. Nobody thought they played. They were getting beat. Thought they couldn't win.
Yep.
And he called you and said, "I need some coaching. I need some help right now," because they were in the championship.
Yeah, in the NBA
well,
championship.
I should let you tell it. Here I am telling his story.
I actually have an NBA World Championship ring from Pat and his team. They were playing against Dallas. I'd actually worked with Dallas when they beat them, and now I was on the other side with them. I have a Dallas NBA championship ring from the Mavericks as well, because I work with their coach. But what he did was, it was really him. He got up and he said, don't bring any clothing. We're not coming back.
They didn't even book hotel rooms.
No, didn't book a hotel room. We're winning.
It was like Game 7 or something,
no,
right?
Game 6, but we're going to win. There's not going to be a Game 7. We're not even going to go there. And he just sat down with the guys and just cut off any possibility except winning. Didn't let them bring extra clothes. Didn't put them in a hotel.
No hotel.
And they went in and ripped it open. And he shares a really beautiful story.
And it was against all odds. All
sure.
odds. Because traditionally, there have only been like 2 other teams that have ever come back.
That's right, because they're so far back.
They're so far back. Isn't that crazy? So, you know, it's interesting because you work with so many different people, and you also have this level of people who want to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Who are those folks?
Well, I think, you know, the most successful athletes, entertainers, business people, politicians, billionaire entrepreneurs, I deal with them all. I mean, you can see the list of who I deal with. It's mind-boggling. And many of them become dear friends for me. And it's because people that are the best understand that a little change really changes everything. You make a 10-degree shift, but you keep doing it for a week or a month or 6 months, and you end up in a totally different destination, a different destiny. So they're always looking. That's what makes them successful. They never are satisfied. They're always wanting more. The other people that come into my world, I hope is someone like yourself who says, you know what? My life is really good, but I want it to be great. Or, you know, I just had a birthday with a 0, and what am I going to do in the next decade of my life? Or my kids are growing up, what am I going to do here? Or my relationship's not the way I want it to be, like the woman, you know, 20 years into a relationship with her husband and it feels not alive, and I want to reignite that. If you've got a hunger, any part of you wants more, any part of you wants to make your life better, then I've got the best tools that exist here. And that's not about me. It's just about, it's been modeled off the people that have succeeded consistently. It's like having the right formula. If you know the right combination, you can open the vault every time. If you don't, you can sit there for 6 months going back and forth and be totally frustrated. This is the way into the vault of what you want for your life.
And it's true steps. There's true action. It's not just a lot of blah, 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 and you go, what am I supposed to do next?
Yeah.
It's literal steps that walk you through, like your hour of power.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
If you just did that one alone, you'll be a completely different person in a couple of months.
Because it changes your conditioning. It's like most of us have goals we want, but we're not, it's like not having the muscle. If you don't have the muscle, it's pretty hard to do the push-ups. What we're showing you how to do is build the mental, emotional muscle so that you automatically feel the way you want to feel, do the things you want to do. If it's going to require willpower, it won't last. But if you condition yourself, if you train yourself, these things happen automatically. And that's why you hear people saying, I've been doing this for 20 years, because it just changes their life.
All right, so we're going to go back to the phones. We have 2 calls we're going to do right in a row.
Great.
It's Eli. Eli in New York. Hi, you're on with Tony. Welcome.
Hi, Eli.
Hello there, Tony. First, I want to tell you that Anthony Robbins, you have been my mentor without even knowing it. You are a life changer.
Awesome.
You've inspired me to want to be a better person. I read your books, Limited Power, Awaken the Giant Within. I saw you maybe 20 years ago at Madison Square Garden. And, you know, what you taught me is that there are no excuses, no matter how you grew up. I grew up as a shy kid from Queens, filled with fear. And by following the principles and the formulas that you put forth, I eliminated my fear. Even this phone call would have been something I could never have done 20 years ago. You've helped me recondition my mind with your pain versus pleasure theory. And I just want to tell the people who are listening that investing in your mind is the single best thing you can possibly do for yourself. I just bought your program, and as far as I'm concerned, it's worth millions.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, first of all, I love hearing that 20 years ago you saw me and it still had an impact enough that 20 years later you're still wanting to share things. I really, really do appreciate that. But in the end, it's still you, right? I can give people the tools, but they got to raise their hand and say, I want it, and they got to do the simple part. They got to at least listen and start to condition their mind, and you've really done that. Tell me something, I come across as this outgoing guy. I am at this stage of my life, but I was also, believe it or not, a very shy kid. I was a little kid. When I grew, I was like totally embarrassed that I was this tall, skinny guy, and I had to overcome that. How did you overcome the shyness? How did this help you in that area? I'm curious.
Well, I actually started to listen to all of your programs. I read your book, and I didn't read them just one. I read them 5 or 6 times because it really didn't sink in for a few years. So I remained very shy for a very long time until the material just started to sink in. And I learned the theory, which you just talked about actually in your previous program, that you have to read it over and over again, like a book like Think and Grow Rich.
The repetition.
And without you having taught those principles to me, honestly, today I might never have picked up this phone call. Nothing in my life would have ever changed. I'm doing some of my own motivational stuff on a modest basis, and I all that owes to you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, wow. I really appreciate you sharing your story. And listen, come to an event. I've had so many people call in. I've been so inspired. If you stay on the line and give us your number, I'll make sure somebody sends you an invitation. You come as my guest. But I just hope someone else that's home that feels like I'm not like that crazy guy on the screen, that's not going to work for me. We sell ourselves short. We're all born a certain way and we get conditioned by our environment. But we're capable of anything. We're capable of developing ourselves in any way we want, but we need a plan. We need a system. It needs to be fun or you won't do it. And I'd just be curious, before I let you go, would you tell people what was it like to go through it? Was it painful? Was it enjoyable? Was it funny? What was your experience? Because I think people see often this as more work. And you've did it multiple times, so you have a good sense.
Actually, it's raised my self-esteem to levels that I never dreamed of. I'm not going to be going to Harvard or Yale, and even if I did, I would never learn what I can learn simply by sitting in my car or just turning on your tapes at home. It's impossible not to be transformed by your materials. It's motivational. It's inspirational. And the question is, what are you going to do without the programs? Are you going to sit around and, just be the same person you've always been and do the status quo? Or are you going to, attempt to do something new? And you've taught me that it's always better to take the extra step, take the extra mile. Can't lose.
Wow. And, I feel the passion in your voice. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Eli, thank you for joining us, too. I hate to rush. They keep pushing me along, too.
Thank you, Eli. Stay in line, and we'll get you to an event as my guest.
Thanks, Eli.
I look forward to meeting you. And
just to that point, Eli made such a good point. Tonight on FlexPay, it's $39.80 to figure out why people are so happy on the phones. I mean, aren't you just a little curious? Like, don't you go, wow, Eli was pumped, man. He sounded good,
Yeah, 20 years later, too. It's not like he was pumped for the night, right?
I mean, we have one of the world's top chefs call in. by complete random accident, because he saw Tony on and had my phone number and said, hey, I was influenced by him, and Tony's never met him before. I mean, doesn't just for that one little flex pay, and knowing that 100% of what they make on it goes to help children, whether it's feeding the hungry or it's getting children out of sex slavery. I mean, I get a chill about that. That is a win-win for everybody. This is a 360 night.
Yeah.
Because it'll change your life 360. The money you're spending on it, which is one little old flex pay, and it's free shipping, it doesn't get much better than that, then moves on to help others who are going to be able to be transformed and fed and maybe saved out of a life of slavery, sex slavery. I mean, what is it about this tonight that you're saying no to? What are you so afraid of? I think that's what it comes down to.
You're right.
What
I can tell you what people are afraid of, because
of?
I've met people
Millions
that didn't
of them,
act
sure.
on it over the years, and then did later, and they all tell me the same thing. It's like, I was afraid to be disappointed. I had been disappointed by so many things in the past. And then what happens, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're afraid, you don't try new things. And look, most things don't work. I mean, let's be honest. Most people are not healthy in this country. They're not fit. Most people in America are not in a relationship where they're passionate. Most people are not in a place where they're earning what they really deserve or what they really want. Most people don't succeed. I'm not dumb, but a few do. And I was insanely and remain insanely obsessed with wanting to know what's the difference between the people who have the life they dream about and the majority that don't. And I'm here to show you exactly what that is. And they are not lucky people. Everyone has various luck, and everybody has tough times. There's nobody, no matter how successful, that doesn't have horrible, tough times they gotta face. The difference is how resilient you are. The difference is, do you know what to do to get back on track? The difference is, are you going for your dream, or are you living a life where you're settling? And settling feels horrible. And so we try to distract ourselves, and television is one of those ways. And I'm hoping tonight that you're not just distracted, that you're called. That some part of you says, I'm watching this for a reason, and this crazy guy with the big teeth, I've seen him before, he's on television haunting me for decades. Maybe tonight's the night that I really get curious and say, I got nothing to lose, let me just get this, listen to the first one, and I'll send it back before they even bill me. I mean, you can do that, people can try that. But you won't, because once you get into this, you're gonna wake up to the magic that's in you. I'm not giving you this, you're giving it to yourself. But you got to make the call to do it. So I hope you'll do that, because we're down to the last 10 minutes.
We are running out of time, actually. And also, too, just so you'll know, Tony's not back until the fall. So it's going to be many, many months. And also, the last time Tony was here, they completely sold out. And I'll tell you, right now, with everybody on the phone lines, we've only got a couple thousand left. So this is it. And it's going to be many months. And so I always say this, too, when I'm doing any of my shows, whether it's fitness or whatever it might be. I say, when are you finally sick and tired of being sick and tired? Like, why? Why wait another week or another month or another year or another 5 years and go, when you get this, you're going to go, God, why didn't I do this when 5 years ago when I saw him with his big teeth and happy smile? I just think this is now. This is the moment. And you know what? We got one spin at this thing called life. One. We have one shot to get this really right. And if you don't wake up and feel vibrant and happy and grinning like a fool, and you're like such in a place where you can't even imagine that, why not just try it? Here, HSN and our side of it, he's put together this amazing program, years and years of working with people and talking to the best and researching the best and putting it all together in smart solutions that are well studied, by the way. Yeah. Not just hocus pocus kind of crazy stuff. And on our end, it's a flex pay. And if you hate it, if you put one in and say, nothing, just put one disc in, that's all we're asking. We'll even refund all your money. But tonight is the last time you can do that while we have it available. No one's got a value like this. In fact, you buy all the pieces separately on your website. I knew we were going to be busy in this last show. Just don't miss out. It's your time. It's your moment. You are watching for a reason. Nothing happens I don't think anything happens by chance personally. So if you're watching, there is something inside you that's going, okay, I'm going to suspend my disbelief, and I'm going to try it. And if you hate it, we'll even give you all your money back.
And it's got a 40-year history, so it's not like this is some fly-by-night thing. You'd imagine in the world we're in today with social media, with the newspapers and magazines and everybody out there who's trying to tear something apart, how is this still standing 40 years later with millions and tens of millions of people now that have utilized it?
And
it's
growing.
Because it works.
And growing after 40 years.
It's the biggest we've ever been.
How amazing is that? All right, we're going to say hi to Danielle joining us from Pennsylvania. Thank you, Danielle, for waiting. You're on Now On with Tony.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful for the opportunity to call in and personally say thank you, Tony. I started listening to your tapes when I was 18, and I'll date myself here, but I was watching an infomercial, and I ordered the cassette tapes, and I used to run with them. I would put them in, and I would run and listen to them over and over and over again. And there's two great things I just wanted to share for anybody out there that might be listening and think this could inspire them, but also the cost of not doing something or not taking this chance. I know what I may have missed, and I just don't want that to happen to anybody. One of the greatest things, I think, is that as I've grown, your tools have helped me grow, whether it was in my career and they've helped me shape that, or when life got overwhelming with my kids, the RPM tools that I just flat out love helped me. Or I immersed myself into your events, and I volunteered, and I crew, and I built this amazing peer group. But all of that pales in comparison to you gave me love, and I almost missed it. And I am so grateful, and my life is completely different because of it. And what I mean by that is I was in a marriage for 18 years to a guy that was a good guy, and he was just okay. He tried, and he was kind, and we had 3 great kids, and I had a blessed life. But I just had this void, this emptiness in my life. And I just convinced myself that this is the way it needed to be, because what kind of horrible person would break up a family for their own personal happiness? Like, how could I possibly do that? Divorce would ruin my kids. I couldn't hurt my husband. So I threw myself into work and everything else. And then I took my daughter to a UPW event because I listened to your tapes and I hear you all the time. And she asked to go, and on the way home, she said, "Mom, what does we get what we tolerate mean?" And we went into a big discussion about that, and I told her never to settle. And she asked me if I could go back, would I ever change anything in life? And it hit me so hard, and I realized, why do I accept just okay in my relationship, but nowhere else? So I thought, I'm throwing myself into everything that you have with relationships. I bought the Ultimate Relationship tapes, and I just dug into every tool you have on relationships. And I made 2 decisions. Number 1, I'm going to do everything I can, because I was in this horrible gray zone where I was halfway kind of in my relationship, but not really, and I wasn't leaving. And it was purgatory, and it was not happy. So I said, I'm going to give it everything I have, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to leave with no regrets. And I also said, if I leave, I'm going to do it with kindness, because you taught me that things mean what we assign them to mean, and divorce doesn't have to mean hate. Yeah. So fast forward right now, I'm with an absolutely amazing guy that I knew 30 years ago that was in my life as a friend all along. My kids, who I was afraid to hurt and I thought I'd ruin, are incredibly happy. Bill, who I was afraid to hurt also, is with an amazing woman, Jen, and she's perfect for him. We're all friends.
That's so beautiful.
It's nirvana. It's wonderful. I didn't think it could exist, and I followed everything that you say to a T, and it works. And I have an amazing, wonderful life, and everybody's happier because of that. And I would have stuck in that feeling maybe like I was a martyr if I wouldn't have. And I can't thank you enough. And if there's anybody out there that's even thinking about it, I should ask yourself, what's the cost of not trying?
Wow. What a story, Danielle. So, Danielle, I can't compliment you much on your courage. And I love that you listen to the truth. I can't believe your child said to you, it's one of my phrases, you get what you tolerate. And I talk about most of us tolerate so much. But the fact that your ex-husband is now happy, that you're friends, that he's got a woman in his life that loves him, that's better for him, that your children are happy, and most importantly of all, that you are. Because if you're not happy, your children aren't going to be happy long term anyway. You've done everything textbook the way it needs to be done at a level of courage that I can't even imagine you had to use. I really compliment you. I want to invite you and your new man in your life to come to an event. So stay on the line and we'll invite you, and I'll look forward to meeting you in person.